All right. Tonight we start off the same thing every night with the Kickstarter. Every time we do a show, let me raise up the camera a little bit. It's having a little trouble focusing. See if that does it. Yeah, Undersea Hero. It's live on Kickstarter right now. It's my superhero comedy adventure. If you took the Tick, Aquaman, and the Muppets and mixed them all together, it would be kind of like that. You got a nice shot of UH there with Lord Krakus. And you can also go to underseahero.com. And that'll also get you to the Kickstarter too. And here we are on Wednesday nights. Tonight is one of those nights where we're just working on what I need to get done. And I have to do 2 more box doodles. And I have a King Conan sketch to work on. So we're going to start with the doodles. I do these pretty standard, these are just your regular comic book mailers. I'm not sure how well this will translate to film, but we'll see. I start it like any other drawing. I try to come up with a character or use a character that the person ordered. Like if they ordered a Tick comic, I'll do, something Tick related. For the most part, everybody ordered Conan the Barbarian, so it's been all Conans. Maybe give him like a little snarl. Got our skull. Nope, I can't see the chat. There it is. Bewildered Biscuit is here. I tell you, I was having a rough day yesterday, and at the end of the day, a fellow over on Twitter shared my campaign, and it was someone who I had only met once, I believe, at San Diego. That was really, really nice. That really picked me up for the day. You never know. You never know when you talk to people if they're going to remember you or remember your work, but it was really sweet. So, thank you. And these, box doodles I'm going to be doing on the Undersea Hero stuff. So if you got any physical rewards, you'll get some kind of drawing on your comic book mailer. It'll be in the same box as this, unless you got like a really big. Hey, I figured. Met only once, so I was delighted. Yeah, doing a couple of mailer doodles right now. That's right, Jonathan. This is one of those nights where it's the stuff I just have to get done and I don't have other time to do it, and it happens to be live drawing night. And if we can get time, I do have a single sketch that someone ordered with their comic book that I have to do. And it is also Conan, so I had a not ideal experience with a commission, and of course I run out of lead. Let's see if we got some extra lead in here. Otherwise I have to go diving in the drawer. Hey, winner. What's everybody else working on? Hey, Dennis, how are you? Thank you again for continuing to be a superstar, supporting the Kickstarter. I don't know who shared it more. Everybody in the chat so far has been super nice, so I don't have to ask you to back the Kickstarter. You guys are all heroes to me for this stuff. Wouldn't be possible. Wouldn't be possible. Likes, comments, shares, anything that gets people to look at it. I've even had someone recommend to their local comic store that they maybe carry my book. Today I'm doing all right, you know? Today was pretty good. It's long. Now if I can get the lead to work on my pencil, that would be nice, right? You guys came to see drawing, not just hear me ramble. At least that's what I hope. Now I'm muttering, so it must be jammed. Let's take a look. Gotta open it up. Yep, it is jammed. Let's see if we can. How many times do we have to? Can I see what people have pledged before it closes? That's a good question. I can see who has pledged, like their name or their username pops up. That I can see. And I can see if I want to dive into the back end, I can see stuff. And then because it's jammed here, we have to push it in. This is what happens when you have to maintain your tools. I recommend anybody who buys like a new pen or pencil just to take that sucker apart at least once. Of course, it didn't fall out, so we have to do it again. There we go. That should de-jam it. Hey, back to work. Those cheekbones that John Buscema and Frank Frazetta put on Conan. When I draw Conan, I don't know. I have a feeling what I'm going for. So like, I'm not just thinking about one artist. I'm thinking about the character and what I want him doing, and the overall feeling I want the thing to get. And this is just a box doodle, so it's like I'm going for broad strokes and like bigger picture items. Oh, thank you. Hey, I used to watch, when I was a kid, I watched Bob Ross on PBS, and on YouTube, I watch other artists draw all the time. I think it's a great thing to have on. I wish I had that when I was a kid. I probably would be a lot better than I am now. If I had all those resources of seeing these like world-class artists just out there doing their thing. It was hard to find, just books, information in the pre-internet learning about art days. It was all in books or magazines. American Illustrator, I used to pick that up at Barnes and Nobles. American Artists, Illustration magazine, those were all important developmental learning tools when I was really getting into it. I have not drawn much today, so if these look a little, do I have Captain Bob in my area? I don't know what that is. Forgive me if I'm missing a reference or something. Enlighten me, Jonathan. I defer to your expertise. See if any of these have any sort of tip left on them. I got 8 packages out, or six packages out. I have 8 total to go out. I've got 2 left. I just draw them in Sharpie because they have to go through the mail, so I expect them to take kind of a beating. And I don't expect people to keep them really. Like, they're just something fun. Dennis asked, "How many issues of Undersea Hero do I have planned?" Well, the big book that's coming that I'm working on right now is a triple-sized issue, so it's like a 3-issue miniseries all rolled into one that you guys will all get that backed it for anything other than back without reward that gets a book. And the first one got funded, so maybe in a year's time we'll do another one. I have an ending for the book, the whole thing in mind, which I won't share, but it just depends how long I want to do it and how long people want to read it. So we'll play it by ear. Undersea Hero, as far as like from the creative end, like I have 2 major characters of my own right now, and that's Helena and Undersea Hero. And Helena is who I defer to when I need to feel brave, and then Undersea Hero is who I defer to when I want to be silly. And I don't always want to be brave, and I don't always want to be silly. Yeah, you didn't know it was a triple-size comic? I wrote it all over all the place. Yeah. And I think people were confused as to why it was, not being released until next year. And it's because, it's a triple-sized issue and it's not done yet. I don't want to just meet my deadline. I would ideally like to beat it, for getting the book out to people. And all the projected delivery dates and stuff are in the campaign. Oh no, it's all good. I'll do some reminders. It's good to actually get this information, man. No worries at all. Just means that one of my next posts, I'll be like, "Hey, did you know?" See, you just wrote my next post, so I thank you. I don't have to think of something. I'll steal your idea right there. No, I'll give you credit if you want. Hey, my buddy Dennis said, makes it easy on me. Happy to do it. What's the rest of it? Wears a heavy crown of Aquilonia upon a troubled brow. I like to give him a little bit of jewelry, actually. I know some people don't like that, but I like the idea that Conan, this guy who goes, thieving and destroying and everything else on adventures, and he still has just a tiny bit of vanity because he does like treasure, you know. Doodles do not draw themselves, so like they do take me some time. When I was doing the other 6, they took me a couple of nights of sitting in front of the TV, late after work or whatever, just working on them. And I do little handwritten notes to everybody. That's another thing. Just a thank you, because, it's not as easy to find an independent artist's work. So I appreciate the effort. This is actually the mailer. Like the mailing label just goes here, and then this goes through the mail. I took some pictures of some other ones that I had done. There will be packing tape on this sucker. It's an old cartoonist tradition. Like I bought artwork from great artists like Paris Cullens and several. John Lucas will do the occasional box doodle. Um, it's an old tradition, and I like to keep it going. And it also makes the people at the post office happy. They always get a laugh, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about comics and stuff. The people at my old post office before I moved always looked forward to, even though I would have like 5 to 20 things to mail out. They would even open a new lane for me if they saw me coming in. Because I would bring them comics and stuff too. I bring comics to people all the time. I try to be a good ambassador. If I'm stuck in an airport, I'll sit there and draw pictures for the bartenders and the wait staff. If I'm, I went to the fish market the other day, and I was just wearing a comic T-shirt, and we were talking comics, and I said, hey, I've got some books in I'm an artist. I've got some books in my car, and I gave everybody a signed Tick comic in the area, and I gave him a couple others that I had with me. I think I gave him a Red Sonja. I just, try to be neighborly and a good ambassador for comics. Because when I travel by myself, it's a good way to meet people. I'm not good at just saying hi or whatever. I kind of have to have an icebreaker or a reason to chat with people. I was never good at just talking to the bartender. But if, we talk about art or comics, or I'm just drawing, makes it easy for me to talk. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Thank you very much. You said I was the ambassador for the art. I just want people to love comics, because they absolutely enriched my life, and I think that I should share that positive experience with other people. I've been adding movie quotes to Conan movie quotes to each one of these box arts. I did the grant me revenge. Did you say snakes? Maybe just crush your enemies. We'll do that one. Oh, lovely. That's one of my favorite TMNT gifts, the high five one. I save that one on my computer, and I use it all the time for appropriate circumstances. I'm glad you like it. Some of the TMNT ones are like just a little crazy for me. And Dennis, if I get to your mailer, I'm assuming you backed the Kickstarter. If I get to yours, I'll draw a Ninja Turtle on it for you. I sent Matt his. He got his. I'll get his tracking info to him. His went out today. And what I like to do is, I know it's just a box mailer, but I like to just make it look like a finished piece, so I'll just add like a little border to it. So I'll go like this. I'm not drawing any big backgrounds or anything. Thanks, Scientin. Always appreciate you popping in, man. And what's cool about the boxes is because it's got a darker background. Sometimes you can go in and we'll do it just for fun, so I can show you. Take just the whiteout pen that I like to use, prime it, and then just go in and add some white. The whites of the eyes. Don't want to overdo it. But if we go like that, a little glimmer in the eye. His teeth. Conan's teeth. A little glimmer on his gold earring. And we'll add a little bit to the hair. And if you're in the area, I'll be doing a signing down in Milford, Connecticut, and I'll be doing free little sketches there. They'll probably be something kind of like this, but smaller, like on a little like big postcard size. I'll go to the grocery store and just grab a pack of postcards. That'll probably be what I do. But yeah, there you go. Just a little bit of white. Pull out some stuff. There's one box doodle. Should I do the restart? Hold on. Let me see if this helps. Hold on. I'll be back in just a shake. 2 shakes. Are we back? Let me know if that's better. Otherwise, I can try to, turn down the. I agree. Drawing on the boxes is super fun. Totally agree. It's a fun experience. All right, one down, one to go. Is that better? Kevin said I was having some connectivity problems, so if it sounds better, let me know, or looks better. I don't know. This one go another way. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's get our. Thank you. On his brown lunch bags, that's cool. Hey, whatever you got handy. When I worked at the tackle and fishing repair shop on Nantucket for a number of summers, I used to draw cartoon strips on the receipt tape. I would print it out and draw it like, just like a daily strip, but it would be like, 3 or 4 feet long. Yeah, more of a banner at that point, yeah. I was young and ambitious and drawing for distance. That's a pretty good title if anybody wants to use that for their strip, Drawing for Distance. I think that's pretty good. I did find in my area a Saturday night figure drawing group, so I might be joining that in the new year. I think that would be a good thing for me to do. I haven't been doing live figure drawing in too long. Mostly been doing from reference, and it's just not the same, so practice, practice, practice. Do I have a favorite character to draw? If I were being, clever about it, I would say the next one. But in truth, I really enjoy drawing the Tick and Undersea Hero, and I like a visual challenge, especially if it has like a more of an organic solution. I don't really like mechanical drawing, so like unfortunately for my friend Jonathan, who's in the chat, Transformers are not my favorite thing to draw. He's a big Transformer guy. I did read the new Transformer that you gave me with the sketch cover. I thought it was terrific. The first issue was terrific. The new Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers. I read that, and then I've been reading some other old comics I pulled out of some dollar bins. So. And I read the new G.I. Joe, the two Skybound productions, and I think they're in very good hands with Bob steering the ship, with Larry Hama back again, and better artists that I think does a really good job than like your average Joe. I didn't read G.I. Joe, so I don't know who was drawing it at the end. I'm not being critical of the last artist on the series at IDW because I didn't read it, but I'm just saying it was a better as far as like a high caliber artist. So I should have used a different word. That was a improper speak on me. So I'm sorry if someone took it that way. I did not mean it that way to denigrate whoever was drawing issue 300 and around there. It can be stuff like that can be taken that way. I put one comment on Chris Campana's call for like crazy things that people have said to you at a comic convention thread, and there was this guy who came up to our booth, and he was a total jerk, and he was basically telling us like we're not like in passive aggressive tones that we weren't very good, and that we good luck, but you're not going to make it kind of stuff. And he was telling us about his brother who like it was only up to him as to whether or not he'd be drawing the biggest IPs in the world, and he was the best artist, and the publishers would have no say in it, and it wouldn't matter or whatever. But like if he wanted to be drawing Batman tomorrow, he just have to pick up the phone. And when we asked him what he did, we were like, well, we were impressed. We were honestly wanting to hear like, are you an artist? Or is your buddy an artist? What's his name? We'd love to know who it is. And he was just like, oh no, he's a mechanic. And then someone replied with like, hey, I'm a mechanic. And I promise, it was not meant to denigrate mechanics or people who work day jobs. Because I'm doing design right now. I'm doing some graphic design for. I posted a painting for him. I'm doing graphic design for the Steamship Authority. Got bills to pay, man. Graphic design pays way better than comics, so it's always been a reliable thing for me to do to cover bills and stuff. And I'm excited to be working there. I quit Steamship, so it's a fun thing to do for me. Uh, yeah, we run into all kinds of crazy stuff that people say at conventions, just to our faces and things. And Chris has we would joke that there's a convention bingo card, an imaginary one. And one of the questions that we always get asked is, while we're drawing and we're surrounded by like our work, is, "Oh, did you draw these?" It's just a funny example. Now I feel like we have to, take a step back and be the person who introduces people to not just our work but comics. I don't expect anyone to know who I am. It was just the idea that you're standing in Artist Alley, and I don't know. I don't know what the expectation I had set or what the set expectation was, but on occasion it is not met. Yeah, okay. But Chris and I always have a good time when we're at shows together. So we got to sit next to each other in Colorado this year. We were just up, like we would say, just up the street from each other in Artist Alley in Boston. I did do an interview on the Angrygeeks show this week with my buddy Jay Kennedy. We were promoting that appearance in Milton for their Christmas sale. Or no, Milford, Connecticut. I'm sorry. At Alternate Universe. There's a link in the description if anybody wants to check out the store. Eric Yakko's the owner operator. They have 2 stores. Good back issues. Good back issue bins. He's got some wall books, but like I feel like sometimes people sleep on the good stuff that's in the bins, because there's definitely wall-worthy stuff in the bins. I appreciate a deep back issue bin. I heard. I'm excited for the part 2. I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was really awesome. Yeah, I saw it actually, at the convention. Joe was playing it at his booth at Rhode Island Comic Con. So that's where I first saw the whole thing. He was on the end cap, and I was just kind of like around the corner from him. Also, he was crashing at my place for that one. So. You have to make it to Boston. Dennis says he has to make it to Boston Comic Con this year. You mean the Fan Expo? Yeah, that's the one I was referring to. It's the old Boston Comic Con. It used to be Boston Comic Con. Got bought by Fan Expo. Last couple of years, I gotta say, Kevin and the people at Fan Expo have been super nice, super kind to me. Easy to work with. They booked me in Cleveland this past year. I'd love to go back to Cleveland. I'm hoping to get back to Gem City. I love that show. That's in Dayton, Ohio. For anybody, I actually just shipped a couple orders out to Ohio. If you're ever in that area during the show, it's usually right around San Diego Comic-Con. That's why I couldn't be at it this year, because I was at San Diego. Promoting Undersea Hero. At that point, I was kind of locked into November, so. But that's a great show. Only comics. It's not a gigantic show, but it is a good show. You can see everything. Tons of excellent local creators, good dealers. I don't think it's a show yet where I've seen, like, I always look for the big books because I've done so many shows. I'm looking for your Action 1s, your Detective 27s, your AF-15s, not to buy, but just to see. Because when dealers bring those, it's usually with an expectation that there's some big buyers coming. And I've seen all the big Silver Age keys there. And I did see the first Golden Age Starman, I think it was. I've never seen a first Golden Age Aquaman there. I've actually seen fewer copies of that book in person than I've seen of Action number 1. I have only seen 2 copies of that book. The more fun issue. That's the first Golden Age Aquaman. Hey, Aaron, I'm glad you dig your artwork, man. Thank you for posting it and the nice words. Glad it got there safe. Anytime I'm shipping anything further than 6 blocks away, I'm always sweating it till it gets there. Usually I actually just drive that stuff there. You're welcome. Thank you for popping in and saying the nice stuff. Been a busy day, so I haven't been I saw that it was posted, just haven't been able to do much in the way of commenting on anything today, so busy. Sometimes your mic sounds like a speaker tweeter is crackling. I don't know what that means, but I only have one fix that I know how to do. Otherwise, I can switch the frame rate at which I'm broadcasting. That we can see if that works. Let me see if I can change the settings. Yeah, I can't change the settings while it's live. You can let me know if that's any better. I did the little restart thingy. Sound is good, better. I fixed it. Hey, IT comes through. Oh, thank you, Dennis. He said that he liked the artwork I did in the back of New Zodiacs. Thank you. That's very nice. I Joe and I do trades all the time, and he did the cover for Undersea Hero, and I did that piece for um, Aquarius, which was a variant cover for a Colorado Springs show a couple years ago, 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Let me see if I can pull it up. Super exciting. Get our little border here. It looks kind of finished. Do like a Barry Windsor Smith necklace on him. Little circles. Dennis asks, and I will highlight the question. When you draw a variant for another artist, do they offer any ideas, or is it completely your own creation? It varies. When I'm asked to draw one for Joe, he's always been completely open to new ideas. And when I came up with that one, I tried to do something also that I knew would be in Joe's wheelhouse. And Joe is a super Marvel guy as far as like his favorite stuff. And I thought doing kind of like my version of Aquarius, doing like the Silver Surfer routine, that he would like. And I sent him a sketch. Like I always send a little sketch. I don't just go straight to finish on anything. And he approved it, and I finished it. I actually drew it on camera, so you can actually go to my YouTube page, and there's a time-lapse video for the new Zodiacs cover with fancy music and everything, where you can see me draw that cover in just a few minutes. And when I ask other people to draw stuff, I want that. To me, the hardest editorial moment is picking the right artist. And when I pick an artist, I want them to do what they do. So I am just going to make sure that, they're not doing anything that I can't print. Like if they're like, oh, we want this to be a pop-up book cover or whatever, you know. Outside of that, I let artists do whatever the heck they want, usually on my cover, like almost exclusively. I think in the entire time I've been publishing other people's work, I've maybe asked for 2 changes ever, and they've never been like major changes. They've been like, hey, can you make his chin bigger on Undersea Hero? Because people want to draw him like a handsome superhero. And he's supposed to kind of look ridiculous. Eli Stone is here, acclaimed artist, illustrator, author, all around nice guy who I still need to just have a cup of coffee with in person at some point. Dennis, love how ridiculous he is. He's supposed to be kind of stupid looking. I don't know. Like I don't, everyone has those dreams of grandeur where they throw out like, oh, this should be a so and so would play them in a movie. Like, I don't know how you would make him look ridiculous enough. Like the season 2 of the Tick suit where he's got the like absolutely absurd muscle suit on is like the right direction for the body, but like you'd need to do something for the chin, I think. But yeah, there's our second box doodle. Um, let's connect this line. That's driving me nuts. Connect that line. There. One box doodle, two box doodles. And then we'll just put the comic books inside, slap the label on the other side. Actually, I'll probably handwrite these since they're USPS. And then it's off to the post office's job. Now we have to do a little bit tighter of a drawing because this is like a sketch. This is a on paper, like artist rendition kind of thing. I did enjoy doing the box doodles on camera. Those were nice and loose and easy to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Eli, I was just looking at my old Helena pages for the book that is not done yet that your piece will be in, and I need to. That'll be what I do after Undersea Hero is put to bed. Yeah, those just go on the boxes. Yeah. I just draw those on the box and then label books inside. You know, it's just a mailer. Box doodles. And everybody that did a physical reward for the Kickstarter gets a box doodle. This guy wanted King Conan and a lion. Normally with like the one character sketches, I limit it to, you know, not doing something like that, but this was a little late, so we'll come up with something, some way to fit both on here in the 6x9 space. I want to do a different angle of the face, maybe looking a little bit up and looking this way, you know. It's not that many packages, you know. I could probably knock out, if I just was working on box doodles, like 30 in a day. And I think we've got like 100 backers now, so it'd be 3 days worth of box doodles so far. But this guy wanted a King Conan, so he's a little bit older. He's got the beard. It's also why I don't ship stuff out quickly, Eli. That's one of the big criticisms of my store is that it takes. I'm not Amazon. I can't get them packed and shipped in, you know, quick order sometimes. And I'd rather they be nice and go out, you know, with all the extra stuff than just slapped in a box and sent off. And then, you know, when I order stuff, I'm not, you know, really looking for it to be. Uh, Always the fastest shipment. I want it to get there, you know, especially when it's a Kickstarter piece, like or something that's from an artist. I take your time. When it gets there, it gets there. I actually almost never check the Kickstarters I've backed, and they show up when they show up, and I'm just thrilled. It's like a surprise in the mail. It's like the middle of his neck. It goes over there. I was explaining the Loomis method the other day to someone I work with, the construction of the human head and the hands and everything with geometric simplified shapes, figuring out how to do it in three-dimensional space, and why I've modified it, for my own purposes and just as I've gone along, and the decisions I've made to change how I work with that school of thinking when constructing figures and stuff. And it was a fun exercise, like explaining comic and art stuff to people who aren't familiar with my work is a good exercise. Dennis asked if there's any comic that I haven't worked on that I would like to. Um, I've reached a point where IP is not my driving force. Um, when I was first starting out, I really wanted to just do any IP, and if I got to do one that I liked, it was great. You know, um, the books that I read that I've worked on were like The Tick. I read Eli's Tick. I read Gabe's Tick. I read Conan the Barbarian for a long time. The books I read as a kid were X-Men and Aquaman and stuff like that. If I got to do that, there'd be a thrill to it, but there's also the question as to whether I would actually get to do any sort of creative thing with it. I would much rather have an opportunity to do something creative with, you know, having a little bit more editorial leeway and stuff. Like those are the challenges I'm looking for. And even if they were like, hey, this is our worst selling character and we can maybe only give you one issue, but we're going to let you do what you do, I would rather have that kind of an opportunity than just be like, you know, but the comics I grew up as a kid reading were X-Men, Aquaman, Swamp Thing, love Swamp Thing, the Wrightson and the Alan Moore stuff. But just as far as characters I like, heck, I got to do something this past year. I got to draw characters for a company that I love with Charlton Comics that's been out of business for 50 years, in a published award-nominated book. Like, talk about a thing that, like, I never foresaw ever being even a possibility or could have ever conceived of such a thing. It's fun drawing these little shapes, though, and just spending more time just trying to get the geometrics of how the face links together, how pieces wrap around. You know, I think about this stuff because one of the things I notice is that, you know, it is like people learn a quick shorthand way to draw a certain angle of a face or whatever. And sometimes, and I do this, I'm guilty of it too. I'll use a shape or a direction or a piece in a place where it doesn't actually go. It really is, Dennis. Creative freedom is huge. And I'm like, seriously, that's why the Kickstarter getting funded was such a, like, just wonderful thing, and I promise I'm not gonna be one of those people that inundates the world doing 10 Kickstarters a year, but if the world had the appetite for at least one a year so that I could always have one book out each year that is completely of my own creative idea, I would be a very happy creator. I'd rather have one book that I could stand next to at a convention and say, "I'm really proud of this," than like 10 books of, "We need you to do this book in 3 days. We need you to, you know, do follow the style guide and not deviate and blah, 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 blah." And look, there are people that only follow my work. Eli says he has a no art direction discount. Now, see that is a good idea right there. Because I've been doing the rat race with a lot of that stuff for a long time. So being able to do one book a year, my own stuff that I could stand next to, I would be thrilled. Hey, it's Andrew. Andrew actually did the last King Conan, and he got that in the mail the other day, so that was pretty great. And he actually talked to his comic store about maybe checking out Undersea Hero. So thank you. He said he'll shoot me an email. So that's exciting. The first store, the official first store to carry Undersea Hero, is Rubber Chicken Comics, and I want to do a post just acknowledging them for all that they do. They are so supportive of the art community. They don't just support my work. They publish their own books. They support other artists. They carry a great selection of indie comics by creators, and they have all the mainstream stuff. So like they have the best of both worlds, and it's just a great store. And Josh and uh, Jay and everybody there is just awesome. Trying to get the front edge of his face to have more depth and dimension to it. It's something I've really been working on because if you run your hand like underneath your eyes where the eye sockets are, there's such a curve to it. And I feel like I've flattened that out for so long in so many of my drawings that I want to exaggerate it a little bit so that you see that curvature and you really get the skull structure. But then it's picking the right lines, which is really hard. Picking those lines that are the right ones to simplify it. But yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. That's Hey, if he likes it, I'll be thrilled. If he doesn't, I just appreciate the opportunity to show another retailer. And retail, I know that unproven titles on the shelf are a huge gamble. Like they just are. I worked in a retail shop when I was in high school, a comic store, Midgard Comics. I'd work there on the weekends. Hey, Dennis, thanks so much. I'll catch you at the next stop down the line, as they say. Still trying to get this. I'm still trying to figure out a decent way to shorthand the Conan's crown. Because he's a king at this point. It's the crown of Aquilonia. And it's like a hat. It's got to be just a little bit bigger than the skull. It's got to be sitting on top of it. You can see I spend a lot more time trying to get the shapes right in my more finished sketches that people order. So I'm not just doing the box doodles on a piece of paper for I'll probably put 3 hours into this by the time it's done. It's just an estimation, 2-3 hours. When it's a bust, if I draw just a face, it'll take me less time. I'll still spend a couple hours on it, but the crown is hard. Crowns and hats, tough to draw. Real tough to draw. Like the brim of a hat, like just trying to draw one, with a marker real quick. Like if you're drawing a hat, comes down like this, then it goes up, and then it comes back. And then, yep, see, I messed it up right there. Too flat. Drawing a hat is tough. I actually think drawing a hat is tougher than drawing like hands, because hands it's just tubes. Like they're really simple shapes. There's no dynamism to the line that reacts um, quite as interestingly as the brim of a hat. One thing I see pretty regularly is when someone's supposed to be holding something, they're not really holding it. Like they'll have Shane, that's not you. Do you have a hat like that, Shane? And if you do, how come I haven't seen you wear it at a show yet? If you have a hat like that, that's is it a Cranboys hat? I feel like I'm losing out. I've been missing out. If you have a hat like that, I feel like that. Yep, I have this. I have one other box to go out, and then I think I will have caught up on all of the orders people have asked for. I mailed out my parents' Christmas presents as well. My brother's kind of being a little bit of a tough buy this year for a Christmas present. Love my brother, but I was like, hey, how about this? He's like, nah. I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. Shane says his work hat is as close as it can get. I don't think you've ever come to a show in uniform. Not so long as I've known you. So but I do want to get back to Gem City. I would like to get back there this year. Hey, have a good night, Eli. Good luck with your elf. Dead duty. Ooh, excuse me. I'm glad I had an afternoon cup of tea today, otherwise I'd be falling asleep on the stream. One thing I did like about the King Conan design was his shirt. You know, that's a weird thing to say because Conan, like, known for not wearing a shirt. Um, the cool shirt with like the lion logo on the front. I always thought that looked, and the color. I always liked the sky blue color. I always thought that was a great design choice. On the comic book printing formula guide, it was if it wasn't pure cyan, which I think it was like a cyan mix, like a screen, like a 40 or like a 50 or 75 screen, depending on which book it was. Oh, you liked Acts of Felon on the first one. Thank you. I've got the sequel written and half drawn. Yeah, there's a single arc that's written for Helena. It's 5 issues. And those I just put out on my own. I didn't do a Kickstarter for the first issue, so I probably won't do one for issue 2. I'll just have it available on my website when it's done. I've been sending it to people who buy the Conans, just because I figured, hey, they like fantasy already, so they might enjoy Acts of Helena. There we go. Fix that sword. Didn't look right. The hilt of it was like out of whack. I'm not one of those artists that just traces, what they see in their head. I kind of have to sculpt it on the paper a little bit. Actually going to need some reference, so just bear with me. To open a tab. This is where our lion head has to go, so I need to just make some space. I did put the shirt on Conan. It's one of my favorite things about the redesign in those issues. It's just like it's a cool break because there's so much like red and orange and brown and like these warm colors that like it's just a great break, a visual break, and it's a really good way to frame the character because he's always amongst the mayhem and the blood and the everything from like his battles and stuff. So there's where we'll rough in our little partial lion head. But let's get up in here and see if we can start to pull this together some more with our second lead color. This is where we're really starting to make decisions on the lines. keeping in mind that things are wrapped elf on a shelf equals little narc. I didn't know those were still a thing, if I'm being honest. I knew they were a fad for like a little while. I just didn't know that they were still like part of our society at this point. I didn't know if they'd gone the way of like Beanie Babies or whatever, if their time had passed. King Conan's got a few wrinkles. He's seen some stuff. You're welcome to PM me about a commission, but I can't get anything done by before the end of the year at this point. That's just not possible with everything going on, and I got pages I got to crank on. No disrespect, I just wouldn't want to set an expectation that I could deliver it for Christmas or anything like that. I cannot. There's a lot going on off the drawing board, as I say. If everything was between the margins on a piece of paper, I think I'd probably be better at it, but it's not. Would love to do it. Just, yeah. I also got to finish this one for someone who's been waiting patiently. I feel bad that it's not done, but this one hasn't been too long, honestly, for a commission request. Sometimes my commissions can take a long time, and even if I get it partly done, sometimes it takes me a while just to ship the darn thing. But I'm always willing to deliver it in person. Like if I'm doing a convention near where you live, I can always bring it with you. It saves the shipping. I like hand delivering commissions or picking them up. Like if there's an artist near here, I love to go pick up the drawing when it's done. Say hi, thank him in person. You know. Come to C2E2 in Chicago in February. It's a show I've always wanted to do. I've never done it. I was supposed to do Fan Expo this year, but I had to bail. I had too much stuff going on. I did so many shows in 2023. I did the most shows I've done in a long time. So much paperwork involved, but worth it. Getting the word out, meeting people. Oh, you got to meet Joe? Savage Sword of Conan cover painter Joe Jusko. I saw he's doing a cover for the new Savage Sword. Very exciting. Or he already did it. I've met Joe a couple of times. He was super nice. I met him at I think the first time I met him was at New York Comic Con. I had never seen him at a show before at that point, so I had him sign a I paid him to sign a Savage Sword issue that he did the cover for. Very nice person. I forget, he used to be either a police officer or a fireman, I believe. I don't remember which. He also played Captain America as like a job as like an actor cosplayer. One of the Marvel team ups with a guy in a suit as Captain America, I believe, is Joe. I'd very much like to meet you too, Andrew. Yeah, for sure. Try to get out there and shake hands with everybody. And when I do a show, I'm usually at my booth from like opening until closing. I'm a wait till the bitter end person. So there was only one show vividly remember leaving early, and it was and I have to say it was worth it. It was Chicago Comic Con, probably 2004. So we're talking almost 20 years ago now. I went. That was the first time in Chicago, and my brother came with me, and he got tickets to go see the White Sox game that night, and it was Elvis night. So I got to go see Elvis impersonators before the game, after the game. They jumped out of an airplane during the game, and it was a good game. Um, the White Sox were not great that year, but it was a competitive, good game. I think it was tied like 3-all or 4-all going into the seventh inning. But yeah, I totally left early that day. But way back then, I was paying for my booth, so like I'm just losing my own money at that point. Anytime a show brings me in, I have to stay. To the point where I've angered some of my artist friends who are like, let's go to the bar, dude. Let's go get some beers, as Jay would say. Try to get this kind of penciled in so we can at least see what it'll look like before we log off here shortly. It's going to be a little rough, but at least you get the idea. But other than that, I usually am at my table, irregardless of how busy it is, for the entirety of the show. There was one year, it was last year, I don't remember which show it was, but I was set up in Artist Alley and it was slow. It was a slow afternoon. There weren't that many people in the building. It wasn't like it was just Artist Alley. It was just for whatever reason. And I don't remember if it was a Friday or if it was a Sunday. It was not Saturday. I did not have a slow Saturday. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Um, what was the gentleman's name that this is for? I've got it written on the envelope of, but I can't show it because it's got his address on it, I think. St. Greg? I don't know. But yeah, there was one show this year that I vividly remember that I was there. It was late, it was slow, and guy came up and bought a big, expensive piece of artwork just out of the blue. Total stranger. It's not like I had stacked the deck and like one of my buddies was coming in at the end of the day to buy something. It was just stroke of luck. I was there. He liked the work and said, "Hey, I'll buy this." It might have helped me that there was a lack of options and that like most of my neighbors had packed up for the day. They were like, "I gotta buy something. I'll throw money at this guy." I was there to catch it. I want to say the guy who this is for, his name is Greg, but it's probably wrong. That's where our lion head will be. Do a little bit of cartooning to make the lion a little bit more growly. This hand I gotta fix. It's actually the wrist that I have to fix. It's the wrist probably right about there. Yes, it does remind me of Iron Face hands. It's a little too exaggerated. I'll go in there and I'll tweak it a little bit. Soften it up a little bit. Iron Face's hands were supposed to look like. You ever see a cartoon where a cartoon character's hand would like turn into an anvil and punch someone like another cartoon character to where like little stars pop out of their heads? That was the ridiculous like sledgehammer look I was going for with those hands. King Conan. Ye shut up correct. Long Conan. This is not that kind of program. Thanks, Desiree. Have a good night. Well, you guys get the drift of where this piece is going. So we drew 2 box doodles and we got most of Conan here penciled. So pretty good for one night, I gotta say. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while I was doing my work. Get his necklace in there. Get a little bit more stubble so it looks a little cooler. We're gonna pick our light sources to be in from over there so we can get a little bit of shadow in here and have some more dimension. Black that out. This will be blacked out. Black that out. Oh yeah, gotta have the lion logo. I'm gonna have to look up the way it looks. I don't want to mess it up, but we'll get that on there. So that way you have the synergy of lion, lion, the repetitive imagery. But yeah, it is 9:30 on my clock. So we got the pencil piece. We got the first box doodle. We got the second box doodle. Pretty good night. So thanks for joining me tonight, and I hope everyone has a lovely weekend and a lovely week, and we'll see you next week. Good night.